Give me 8 minutes, and I promise you I'll show you exactly why everything around you feels fake, and more importantly, what you can do about it. We've all felt it, that split second where you're sitting in traffic or staring at a screen, and the world suddenly looks paper thin, like a set piece in a play that you didn't audition for. You aren't depressed. You aren't losing your mind. You're experiencing what's called a pattern interrupt, the moment your soul finally notices the glitch. The reason it hurts so much is because you were born into a world designed to hide your power from you. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of the inherited lie, look at the only thing in the universe that is actually real, and remind you of who and what you actually are. To understand why today feels like a simulation, we have to go back, not just to your childhood, but to the generations before that. Think about your parents. They taught you how to survive, get the degree, find the safe job, play by the rules. But they didn't invent those rules. They inherited it from their parents, who inherited it from their parents, stretching back centuries to a world defined by scarcity and survival. They weren't trying to limit you. They loved you. And because they loved you, they tried to protect you by teaching you how to fit inside the machine. But what they passed down without knowing it was a blueprint built on fear. It says you are what happens to you. You are your circumstances. You are even lucky to be here. The blueprint is a virus. And if every generation is simply a victim of it before it, the question becomes, where does the cycle end? The friction you feel, that deep, unshakable restlessness, is the sound of your true self rejecting a script it never agreed to. That discomfort isn't a problem, it's a signal. Right now, millions of people are entering what's known as a dark night of the soul. It feels like a collapse, like the floor is giving way beneath everything you've built your life on. But here's what I want you to hear. It's not a breakdown, it's a breakout. The dark night happens when your inner self can no longer reconcile the inherited story with what it knows to be true. The old identity starts to crack, not because you're failing, but because you've outgrown it. It hurts because there's a part of you that's still clinging to the familiar, even though the other part is already moving towards the light. In that hallway, between the lie and the truth, everything that isn't real begins to fall away. And when it's over, only one thing is left standing. I want to use a metaphor here, and I want to be clear. It's a metaphor because what it points to is more true than any equation. In the film Interstellar, the writer made a creative choice that I think accidentally stumbled upon something very profound. They imagined a universe where love wasn't just an emotion, it was a navigational force. Gravity could move objects across dimensions, but it was blind. It had no destination. Love was the coordinate, the only frequency precise enough to find a specific soul across infinite time and space. Now set aside the movie, because I think the metaphor describes something you've already experienced. Think about the people we've lost, the ones we still reach for in our quiet moments. The world tells you that death is a wall, that when the body stops, the connection ends. But most of us in our most quiet moments don't actually believe that. I know this because I felt it too. That moment when you're not even thinking about them, and then suddenly they're just there. A warmth you can't explain, a knowing that has no logical source. I used to wonder if I was just holding on too tight, but I don't believe that anymore. Here's what I actually believe is happening. When you think about them, and I mean really think about them, with that full aching love, you're sending a signal. And because love doesn't obey the rules of this physical world, that signal doesn't stop at the edge of what you can see. It travels, and what you feel in return, that sudden warmth, that quiet knowing, that sense that they are somehow still near, that isn't your imagination filling a void. That's the signal coming back. That's them reaching across whatever distance separates where they are from where you are, finding you in the same way they always did, through love, because love is the only coordinate that never expires. The presence you feel is real. You aren't holding on to a memory. You are maintaining a connection that simply moves somewhere the physical world can't follow. Death didn't end the relationship. It just changed the frequency. Which brings us to the final reveal, the one that strips the fake world of its power over you. The ancient texts say we were made in the image of the Creator. Sit with that for a moment. I mean, really sit with it. If the Creator is the source of all things, the architect of reality itself, and you carry the same likeness, then you were never meant to be a passenger in this life. You were meant to be a co-creator of it. The physical world isn't a prison. It's a canvas. Circumstances aren't your sentence. They're your material. The reason the inherited scripts feel so suffocating is because it was written for someone much smaller than you actually are. You're not a character in a story someone else is telling. You're a writer who forgot they were holding the pen. And the moment you remember that, the moment you trade your inherited fear for the authority that was always yours, the simulation loses its grip over you. Not because the world changes overnight, but because you do. I promised you something concrete at the beginning of this video, and here it is. Today, not someday, I want you to catch one decision you're about to make from fear and make it from love instead. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be a conversation you've been avoiding, something that you've been shrinking away from, a version of yourself you keep postponing. Fear asks, what could go wrong? Love asks, what is possible? That's the switch. That's the whole practice. Every time you make a trade, you're rewiring the inherited script one line at a time. You're stepping out of the simulation and into the life you were always actually built for. The dark night is over. The sun is coming up. The page is blank. What are you going to write?